Right then, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to take this crappy table saw, which was gifted to me by my father-in-law, thank you John, and you won't be able to see it from on the camera, but the table is actually bowed. So obviously that's not too bad on a straight cut, but if you're doing a 45-degree cut you'll end up creating a compound cut. So we've got to get a decent table on the top of there. A nice big heavy piece of MDF, which is 22-23mm thick. It's big enough and flat enough to make a decent table out of. So the first thing I've got to do is make some mounting holes to screw this down to the aluminium table underneath, and this should be pretty level. Obviously you can't bolt this down straight to the table because it's going to create a wobble, so what I'll do is I'll pack out underneath with washers to bring this to at least a flat surface, because as you can see that wobbles, whatever you can probably see. It's okay this way, it's fine that way, it's just that way. I'll go and sort some nuts and bolts out and I'll be back with you. So we've got a selection of nuts and bolts, they seem to be about the right length. So I've got two drill bits, one is the shaft size, or just a bit bigger than the shaft size for here, and this one will be to chamfer the holes out. It doesn't matter whether this is particularly square as long as it's flat. So we'll run straight through, put one of the nuts and bolts through as a clamp to hold this corner in place. So that will hold that in place. We've got to do the same on these two corners as well. The trouble I'm having is underneath the aluminium top there's a lot of structural fins, and my nuts and bolts keep going through into the structural fins. So at this point we're ready to get that big old drill bit in there and hollow these holes out a bit. I haven't got blind drill, so unfortunately I have to use one of these, but as you can see there, with a bit of sanding, that will become completely flat, which is exactly what we want. Back or the front, and at this point this has got to come up at the back. By sort of two thick washers is too much. one thick washer and one thin one is not enough. So 2 thick washers underneath on that side, 2 thick washers underneath on that side, and that should raise this bed up so it's level. And there we go. So now all that remains is to give it a quick sand off. So, it's lovely and level. There's no bowing or bending. So what we can use temporarily for a fence is literally just to clamp a piece of wood and measure from the blade, so we know we're getting the right sizes. And then we've got the frightening bit. Unfortunately the battery went flat as I was cutting this hole through the table, so all I did was wind the blade up. I've also marked a line here, which is our square, or what I'll do is square this edge off to this line and then square the other edges off of this one, and then we'll be pretty much done with the table saw. I've also just discovered that my poor old Toshiba Toughbook single core processor can't actually play 1080p video in VLC, which is a bit of a bummer, because that's the only laptop in the house that's worthy of being in a room like this. It's going to be full of sawdust. Do need to do something about the light situation in here because it's not very good at all. So we don't really need to measure it. All we've got to do is make sure that it's square. Now, when you've got a tape measure, you always need to make sure that the end plane, the tape measure, isn't too much. So if you measure on a pull, make sure it's pulled out, and if you measure on a push, make sure it's pushed in. Because that will give you a millimetre out, maybe more. So we'll make that 310. Cut. So we'll make that 310 minus 35 because that's the width between there and the blade, which gives us 1, 2, 3, 27, 275. And clamp that down there. And obviously we want to get 275 at this end as well. Clamp that down there. This clamp's going to be in the way of the saw, so I'll let that one off. Check we've still got our 275. which we have. Check there's no obstructions underneath. Don't forget there's an aluminium bed underneath this piece of wood. That's fine. Ooh. Try and find my earplugs. No. That was a complete fail. Not entirely sure what's going on here, but it's all one straight line at all. Just check and make it's all set up properly. I did actually set it up just 2 days ago. Again, switch off if you're going anywhere near the blade. Blade square. But after a lot of messing around, this edge is accurate to within a millimetre. At this end we have 498.5, and at that end we have 498. So this is kind of officially the square edge. So now we've got to square the other edges up off of this one. I think what was actually happening was where I couldn't clamp at this end, the saw was actually starting at a bit of a weft. Now I've clamped it like this, I can actually feed the saw right in from the start. yeah, I got that one out. The cat's terrified of a hoover, but not of a circular saw. Aside from all the messing around, I've actually learned quite a few lessons today. That particular saw isn't very good at cutting a straight line, especially when you're trying to force it to cut a straight line. Now, I've got a lot of experience in steel work, and generally the way you work with steel is if you stop it from going anywhere else, it will go exactly where you want it to go. So setting up guides and jigs and God knows what else with steel is the right way to go. Now clearly with wood, it's still the right way to go, but it seems to me that wood it reacts differently to metal quite substantially. What was happening with that saw is it was, as I was cutting the line like this, the saw was trying to curve in. So then what happens is the blade ends up going diagonally through because I was just pushing it in. Now these last few cuts I've done with it, I've just done it gently and slipped backwards and forwards a few times to make sure the blade's cutting enough room. And that's given us the good edges that we were looking for. And when I check these edges with the square, with a straight edge, they're all fine. They're as good as I need them to be for what I'm doing. I'm not doing any really major joinery. I'm actually quite pleased with it. Given that just sorting that tabletop on that table saw out has taken me probably 3 hours. It's ready to rock and roll now. And the advantage is, for the time being, it will make a good bench. I've got to build a bench for it now. It's going to be the same height as this. Feels about the right height for me. Pushing wood and stuff like that. I'm not having to bend over. I'm standing relatively straight, but my back hates standing up straight anyway. But there we go. Your table saw is now 100% level and square, John, as opposed to a piece of shit aluminium underneath that wasn't. And that's it for the table saw. Thanks for taking the time to watch this one. Watch me mess up time after time after time and eventually get it right. And I'll see you on the next video.